Good evening to all and welcome to the latest edition of Fireport 80. Fireport 80 provides a platform for the technocrats to keep at par with the latest tools and technologies in the IT industry. It aims to inculcate a practice of community of practice for the technologists to ignite the art of knowledge gaining and knowledge sharing. To start off with today's event, we have the Techbites. Techbites is a session that throws light on the advances in the tools and technologies that has happened over the past 1 month. I invite Mr. Jafar to handle the Techbites.
Good evening, friends. My name is Jafar. I'm working as an iOS developer in Fire. I'm here to give a quick review about some of updates which has happened over the last month. So I'm going to show you some of the Google I/O updates in Google I/O updates. The first one is the Google Assistant. The Google Assistant is a iteration of Google's latest virtual assistant. It's considered an upgrade or an extension of the Google Now. And what makes special is the Google Assistant is a conversation because you can ask question and then you can ask several follow-up questions. So the Google Assistant will detect what exactly that you want to know, and even you can talk the Google Assistant to book a ticket, and you can ask the question like what's playing tonight. It will show you the movie that's playing tonight, and even you can ask let's bring the kid. So if the movie is not suitable for the kids, it will show some suggestion that is playing right away. And that's about the Google Assistant. And the next one and the next one is the Google Home. The Google Home is introduced in the year 2016, and it's a wireless speaker, and it's a voice command device. It acts as a smart home device, so you can ask the Google what you want to know. Even it acts as a smart home control, so you can be able to get the access like you can set an alarm and run a timer and ask the Google what you want to know, and it makes effortlessly some list like shopping list, some kind of things, and also and also it is the network system, so you will be able to access the smart lights. Even you can command the Google Home to unlock and lock the doors. So that's pretty cool, and it's like what is it? It's like a conversation. We don't by the Google Assistant. If you're asking how is directed the running, and again I'm asking, show me his award. It will detect what exactly asking about. I don't even to rectify the uh, um, name. So the next one. The next one is the Allo Smart Chat app. We all have plenty of Smart Chat app available on the market, but what makes the Allo Smart Chat is it have plenty of cool technology which is used in the Allo. Um, like the user won't be able to even no need to give us for a reply. It will automatically suggest some of reply that you are going to reply, and the more you use, the more suggestion will become. And the next cool thing about the Allo is it can analyze a picture, and if if I get a picture from my friend some delicious cake, the Allo will analyze it's a cake, and it will show me the session like a delicious one, and I love this cake. So I don't so I don't even to worry about what suggest for the picture. That's the vision app intelligent around this. And the next one is it's have the Google Assistant. So you can ask the Allo, what do you want to do? So it will do correctly. And the another thing is a Duo video call app. We all have the Duo video. We all have the video calling app in the market, but what the difference in the Duo is, sorry, that's not included here, but I will just explain. Okay. Yeah. As from the picture, you can see that give a live stream video, the person is calling. So without even picking up the phone, you can see the person who is calling and what are they expecting to see. Like you can even see the feelings. That's about the Duo app, and it will work tremendously with a slow network. That's about the uh, so let's get move to the Twitter changes. That's the few updates that I took from the IO. The next one is Twitter changes. The Twitter changes the 150 character limit, and the at names when you reply to a G, the at name will no longer count as a 150 character limit. So it makes very cool, and it makes it very easier. It's very straightforward, and even you can attach GIF image, media, photos, and it won't add up say 140 character count. And the coolest thing in the Twitter is you can even retweet your own tweet. That you feel like once you post a tweet that noticeable. So you can retweet your tweet. So so the next one is the radar control watch. The it's not coming into the market, and this technology they're taking from the Soli, which was introduced in the last Google I/O 2015. Um, as from the picture, you can see that the guy is not touching the screen. He just doing some gestures. He have some gestures like zooming and scrolling, like it. So you don't even touch the tiny screen. You just move your hand of the air between the watch. So it will exactly the moment you are doing. So it has the radar, and it will detect the airflow between your hand and the watch, so the watch can understand what exactly the movement that you're making. So from this picture, the watch understand that he is trying to scroll, so it scroll. And it's about tech. I just took some of uh, for the documentation. I can only add some date. So thank you for your patience. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jafar. The synosia of this edition is a session led by Mr. Sarath C. on Fastlane, automation and continuous delivery for iOS apps. Sarath works as an architect at Experian Technologies Technopark. At Experian, he focuses on product engineering, technical consultation, and administers mobile development practices focusing on iOS and platforms. He has over a decade of industry experience. I invite Mr. Sarath C. to handle the session.
So regarding the tech updates, that is if there's something that that happened in the last 1 month, you can also share those things. I think that is uh, Jafar was able to cover just a few from the last month updates. Is there anything that you want to add? Faiz?
Hello. Hello. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming. So today we are talking about automation using Fastlane tools. Fastlane is an open source project which automates your iOS and Android project builds, testing, uploading to different app stores, and so many things. It can it is a collection of tools which helps you to deliver your apps to different destinations. Let's get started. My name is Sarath. As given in the introduction, I work as an architect at Experian Technologies, mostly working with iOS and Android projects. Then I also oversee the mobile development practices at Experian Technologies. So before we get started, we'll just go through what's really happening at Experian Technologies with the iOS development. Last year we had a session covering Swift, deep dive into Swift, and a couple of other sessions related to the new development with iOS. And so in the last 2 years, we developed about 15 projects in using Swift. Swift is our primary technology to develop iOS apps, and all our iOS developers are trained to work with Swift. We still use Objective-C, but mostly for the legacy code base. And we also use the modern tools and workflows to deliver the projects. So when we talk about modern tools and workflows, so what are the different type of tools you use for your projects? It can be a version control system, can be automation tools, project management systems. What are some of the tools you use at your work? Sorry? Okay. Okay.
Git.
Okay. Git, Jira, Jenkins. Okay. Anything else? Right. There are a lot of tools available in the market. The best tools are always works best for works best for your team and for the interest of your project. Right. So you should pick up the right tools. But here are some of the tools we mostly work for development. Some people may like it. Some people have a different opinion about these tools. But just a quick overview on the tools we use. One thing is Basecamp. Basecamp helps you to connect with your clients, customers, and among your internal your team itself upload and share files, have conversation on different threads, and so many things. Basically, it's basically a replacement for email. So people can be added in any time once you create a Basecamp account, and all of them will be at there will be a single point of there is a single point where you can go and check for all the project related updates. The another cool tool we use at work is Slack. Slack is actually very popular these days. Slack is a real-time messaging app. The most powerful thing about Slack is the Slack is a platform where you can develop or make use of any existing add-ons and further enhance the team communication. For example, if you commit something into Git and or um, create a new issue in Jira, everything the team can be watch everything in real time, what happens, even including a build failure or whatever. It depends on how you configure and use Slack. And you can see another set of tools which is very common and known to many of the iOS developers, that you can see Git, then um, um, you can see Git there, then the TestFlight, the Fabric. Fabric is now owned by Twitter. Maybe you might have heard of Crashlytics. Then Hoki app is another deployment platform. You can see these project management tools. Then Circle CI for continuous integration. Travis CI is another one. Then Jenkins. So these are a collection of tools which probably every team uses on a day-to-day basis, right? So when we talked last time about agile project management, continuous integration, and so many things we discussed in the last month's discussion. When we talked about all these new modern workflows, practices, and um, the approaches for project management and execution, it always talked about automation, because automation helps the developers to reduce the helps them to focus on the problems, rather they spend a lot of time spending for another unnecessary things, very boring kind of stuff. How many of you actually spend a lot of time taking build and uploading to server? Nobody raises the hand. Especially, I see a lot of, nobody raises hand from experience. So it's many of the iOS developers actually spend a lot of time preparing the provision files, preparing the certificates, taking the build, uploading them to the build server. Maybe if you, there are certain cases where we need to deliver the projects maybe every day, every other build, or there is a major change. Apart from the time you should actually spend for the project, you spend a lot of time for uploading them. Uploading the build and other stupid stuff. What if you commit something and everything just automates and just goes into its right destination? For example, if you have TestFlight, once you commit something, how about just generating a new build and upload it to TestFlight and send them some release notes and all those stuff automated? So that saves a lot of time. We can just forget about what will be deployed, where it will be deployed, all those things once it is configured. For that, we also follow some basic practices and protocols, especially when we use Git. When we use Git, we have to stick to a protocol or a workflow. Mostly, we use a Git flow where we keep the shared branches concept, like where we keep the latest product version in the master branch, and the active development will be under develop branch, and there will be so many feature branch each of the developers own, right? So this is a typical branching mechanism which we use for most of the projects. It depends. It varies, depends on the project, and even you can use pull request for code reviews and other purposes. How many of you are using pull request for code review? Right. Okay. Cool. So among all this, our day-to-day activities, we are picking a small portion or the most important piece on automation. So Fastlane is created by a guy called Felix Cruz. He works for Twitter. Fastlane is also a part of Fabric.io, which is Twitter's development portal, where you can see Crashlytics answers, beta delivery, Crashlytics beta. How many of you are using Crashlytics beta? Right. Okay. Right. How many of you are using Hoki app? Right. Okay. So this is what Fastlane does. Fastlane lets you define and run your deployment pipelines for different environments. So when we say different environments means it can be a test flight, it can be test flight, it can be Crashlytics beta, or it can be Hockey app, or it can be App Store. You can pick up your destination, right? It also helps you to unify the release process, like when we tag a build or when we commit certain things to a certain branches. So once we define the protocol and workflows for the project, it is done, which will always happen and automates the whole process, right? So then Fastlane connects to all Fastlane tools. Fastlane is a collection of tools. And also it beautifully works with some essential third-party applications like CocoaPods for dependency management. So Fastlane is quite extensible. It is open source, extensible, and it's basically written in with using Ruby. And you can customize with your own shell script or extend whatever the way you want. But existing set of Fastlane tools already cover, already has a lot of powerful utilities, which covers most of your day-to-day workflows. So when we say Fastlane, it contains certain lanes, right? Simply lanes. Lanes means what? Like this. Looks like this. So you might have a line for just testing. You just write your unit test cases, just run through the test and get the report. That could be one lane. And the next one could be a delivery to TestFlight. The another one could be the delivery to App Store. So you can see what are the actions happens with each of these lanes. So scan means it runs test. We will get to know these utilities later, but scan runs the all your unit test cases. Then it takes the snapshots, run through, open your simulator, take the screenshots and prepare a beautiful a set of screenshots for your app. Then just finish. That's how that lane finishes. The next lane, let's look at TestFlight. So it again scans, runs all the tests. Then the pilot is a utility to send the data, send your build to App Store. To the TestFlight. And even you can use Slack to notify your developers that this build is already uploaded and available for testing. When you look at the next line, you can see scan, then you can see snapshot. So when you upload to App Store, you generate all beautiful, nice screenshots, right? So you can generate all those screenshots, then sign the build using your production files and developer certificates. Then just build the project and deliver it to the App Store. So deliver and pilot are two different utilities. Deliver works with App Store and pilot works with TestFlight. So this is how a typical line looks like, right? So as I mentioned, Fastlane is a set of tools which beautifully orchestrates together and helps you to achieve your task. The first utility is deliver. So will deliver uploads your screenshots, metadata, symbol files, or everything to your to App Store.
Just an illustration of what you do. It is not like this is the
Right.
that I can integrate Slack in the first line.
Yeah, you can do whatever. It's just correct. So the interesting point is that when you define these steps in the lanes, um, each of these utilities pass the data to the next one. So you don't need to write any code for that. For example, you took the snapshots and took all the screenshots, but then once you deliver, these snapshots will be taken and delivered to the App Store.
There is
You can write the conditions if you write some custom scripts, right? So we'll just get familiar with the different utilities with Fastlane. So the first one is deliver, which helps you to upload the build, the screenshots, metadata, symbol files, everything to the to App Store. The next one is snapshot. Snapshot opens the simulator and take the screenshots. Whichever the screens you want to take as a screenshot, it will just open the screenshots and take the, I mean, create files, the images, and it also creates a beautiful web page where you can go and review each of your snapshot. Snapshot is very interesting project. I mean, interesting tool when it comes to large applications. For example, when you have applications in localized environment, like you support maybe Spanish and English, or you might have take the projects like apps like Twitter, Facebook. These are available in different languages. When they upload to each of the each app stores, just imagine the number of screenshots they need to take. Like we need to take for iOS, iPhone 4, iPhone 5, then iPad, all different form factors, right? Just do a simple math to understand like how many screenshots actually they have to take before they push a build to the store. It is a very difficult process, and also in big companies, the number of developers will be very high. We the small teams like maybe 10 developers typically develops an app, but places like Facebook or Twitter, they have hundreds of developers working just for one app. So what I heard, like Facebook has about 200 iOS engineers. Just imagine whose responsibility is to deliver a product. It is a difficult thing, right? Like suppose I say, okay, I will make the release and I'll be the declared as the release manager. But if I'm not available, what happens? So this kind of responsibilities can be defined in a larger scheme of things. So Fastlane helps you to automate many of these very complicated, or maybe it looks simple but very complicated in terms of and time consuming in terms of effort. So snapshot creates screenshots. Then we have frame it. So you might have seen the screenshots framed within iOS, I mean iPhones or iPads, right? In most of the so you can use a utility called frame it to pack your screenshots within the device form factor.
When we submit to App Store, that screenshots will be generated
Right,
using this.
right. I'll just show you an example later. Right. Then PEM files, as you know, it creates the push notification certificates. Then another utility called SI. SI is to sign the project. I mean, sign your app. So probably this is the name comes because it's basically a SI, right? You just need to do a lot of things before you sign the applications. Make sure that your version files are correct, your developer profiles are correct, and you maybe need a lot of build setting changes and so many things. So we just remove that pain of signing with SI. So Produce is another utility which helps you to connect to the App Store and the developer portal to create a new app. So just whatever you do with the click plus button, then name your app, create this device IDs. I mean, sorry, not device ID, app IDs. These things can be automated using Produce. Cert automatically creates and maintain your coding developer signing certificates. Right. When you look at these, the names, that itself is the command name. Scan, PEM, or SCI. These are their real names as the command. So you can just type in the console and see how it works. So scan is to run your tests. Then Gym to build your app. So Gym make use of the Xcode build. Xcode build is a command line utility. Whenever even if you build using Xcode, that actually internally use Xcode build to create your build. So you can also use Gym is one of the utilities. There is another popular utility called XE tools. How many of you heard of XE tools? So XE tools is a simple build wrapper created by Facebook. So it beautifully reports all the errors or compile time and nice statistics about the entire build process. So XE tool used to be very popular. It's still popular. If you don't want to use Gym, you can also use the XE tool. So interestingly, these tools can work together well. It also can work independently without having a dependency each other. For example, you created an IPA file yourself. Now you want to sign it. You can use Site to sign the app. You don't need that whole process of test, scan, and so many things to sign the app. So if you have a file or output, you can continue from that point onwards. So match is a new utility actually. So, but this is very interesting. So when you work with in multiple systems, how do you manage your provision files and certificates? It's a painful process that you create your developer profile. Now you need to export and send to as P12 file as to another machine, or create next one for the next another machine. Or it's a painful process. So Match easily solve this problem. What it actually does, it procures your certificates from iTunes. I mean the developer portal, and it store these files in a Git repository, and this Git repository can be when you say that okay, I want to get my App Store certificates or the development certificates, these files are pulled down from the Git repository. So basically, it's like something that you actually maybe you might be doing like share over Dropbox. So they just share it over GitHub or Git, any other version control you use. So there are some other handy utilities like this is pilot to upload your TestFlight builds. Now boarding is it's a simple utility to create a simple sign up page for your users, customers. Like for example, you can just avoid those pain of adding the testers in the iTunes Connect website. So boarding is another utility. Spaceship is another utility to manage your iTunes Connect store. There are now these are the utilities. So many utilities, but in every day-to-day life, we are not really going through this entire process all the time. So most of the time, we go through the process of build, test, screenshots, sign, and deliver. So we will try to focus on these important activities. You can explore the other possible other tools and the possible different solutions which would fit for your project. But we will get started with building the these phases: build, test, maybe screenshots, sign, and deliver. Right. So, are you following me, or how's it? Any questions? Not Deepu.
So first question is like, so we need to share our credentials with these tools, right? So
right.
How?
So right, we'll come to that. Basically, Fastlane make use of your keychain. That's the most beautiful thing. So once you enter your credentials, you don't really need to do that again. So it will be stored within your keychain, and it will automatically get it back from the keychain itself. So that's how the credentials are managed. So we'll come to that. So there was a question from the back. Sorry. Continuous delivery means continuous delivery means when you're it just get delivered as your developer creates the product. As simple as that. Yeah. For example, so that's what I was mentioning before. When you say a delivery, it has to follow certain protocols that that particular feature or bug fix or whatever it should be properly tested, committed, or probably tagged, and it just delivered to the destination you prefer. For example, if you want to deliver to a TestFlight, when you say when I commit to master, all the commit to the master can be delivered to TestFlight. So if you look at the Git flow, Git flow is one of the workflows used along with GitHub, Git or GitHub. All the production code lies in, I mean, the tested final version of the code will be there in master. So once you commit this, any commit comes to master, there should be a build, right? There could be a build internally delivered when you commit to a developer branch. So you don't need to really take a build, or rather you make the commit, and that is picked up by the continuous integration server and delivered to the destination. So Fastlane is a tool which helps you to automate this whole process.
So Fastlane would be the continuous integration server.
No, Fastlane is a set of tools to automate these tasks. Like for example, like what I mentioned before, that building, signing, managing your developer profiles, provision profiles, all those things. Specifically targeting for iOS. Fastlane also supports Android these days, but today we are focusing only on iOS. So Fastlane is just a set of tools. Continuous integration can be just as I mentioned in one of the previous slides. I don't know if you have seen that. You can see Travis CI, Circle CI, Jenkins. This can be your continuous integration servers.
So Fastlane would fit in as a task under Jenkins.
Sorry.
So how would Fastlane fit in into the continuous integration pipeline? So
right. So when you this is how typically the pipeline of a commit. For example, you have tested and delivered one feature. Say that I have completed login in an app. Now you make a commit that goes to GitHub, right? Once you commit the message and push it, then it goes to GitHub. GitHub has a feature called webhooks. So once you authorize your continuous integration server with webhooks, it automatically notifies whoever subscribed for this particular repository with the commit number and maybe some other metadata to further access the commit from the system. Then they pick up the commit and start the building. And when you build, you can define what you actually should do. Continuous integration is a very generic term. It can be continuous integration server can build an iOS app. It can also build a web app and deliver to probably Heroku or some other services, AWS or any service you want. So it is up to us, like how do we define that whole pipeline goes. So basically the connection between continuous integration server and the version control system is actually the key.
Right, but again, my question is basically, so where does Fastlane come into it? Is that
right? So that's what I was saying.
So does that form the build stack? So when you said Jenkins picks it up and it builds it, does that mean that Jenkins is or Travis or whatever?
So how do Jenkins? How does Jenkins knows that how to build a project?
Correct. So that's what I'm trying to ascertain. So does Jenkins then call Fastlane?
Right. So Fastlane tools should be installed within the continuous integration server. Right.
It connects.
Right. Yeah. Devo, can you hand over the mic?
Yeah, so PhoneGap, then generic native script, and then Android, native Android. How can we plug in all this using Fastlane for continuous delivery?
Fastlane supports iOS and Android. These are the two platforms it supports. I haven't seen it. It is used with Cordova. I mean the PhoneGap apps. No, it doesn't support hybrid applications. It's only for native applications. Right. So any more questions? Okay, so everything starts with the Fastlane in it. So Fastlane init, it's a command. Fastlane init. So this helps you to initialize. This is how it goes. When you say Fastlane init, it so you can see all the commands here that it gives you a lot of hints or information about how this entire process is going on. So once you start the command, it creates a folder called Fastlane. Then it will ask you for your Apple ID. So one thing you need to notice that you should have access to both developer portal and iTunes Connect. It is not documented anywhere, but I had bumped into this problem, and I had to contact those developers, and they told that you need to have access to. Maybe it's a bug, but you just need to have access to iTunes Connect Store. So because I freshly created an ID for this session, so then I bumped into different problems. My original developer account has access to all this uh, um, developer portal and different organizations. Right. So Fastlane demo, you can see you need to enter your email ID. Then you can see what's going on there. So it says Fastlane demo 80. The app name is Fastlane demo. Then the app identifier. So basically, you need to create your first project before you just get started. You should need to have a project. Then you need to call Fastlane in it. So it automatically detects the app identifier from the Fastlane. I mean the project itself, and it just prints out which is your project path. So, and again, for the first time, if the app is not created anywhere, app is, not created with your developer portal, it says, this is not there in iTunes Connect yet. So, do you want to create it? So, in this one command itself, now you can see many of these different tools uh, going to run. Like, for example, we talk about produce to create a new project in the developer portal. So these little things happens, or Fastlane itself make use of all these utilities to create the required app, the required settings for your app, right? So coming back to the same question Deepu asked, when you does this, when you say Fastlane, then it might ask you for a password. Then what happens? These credentials are stored within your keychain. So hope all of you aware that, know about OS X keychain, right? All because it's a common utility we use almost every day. So all the credentials will be stored. You don't need to really bother about it. I mean, you don't need to go and check in the keychain whether there is a credential created or not. You don't need to really do that. But it internally makes use of the OS X keychain. So that's the first step. And next step is snapshot in it. We talked about Fastlane, so we will come to an actual demo. But I'm just, because some of these cannot be reproduced in the system because all these things are already set. So I cannot show it again. So that's why I'm sharing the screenshot. So now we have a snapshot in it. So snapshot in it, snapshot project making use of UI test introduced with Xcode. So last year, Apple introduced UA test, meaning you can just run the app, just click on these buttons and generate your UA test. How many of you have seen or used UA test? Nobody. Okay. But how many of you are aware of UA test? Okay, this year Android also has UA test introduced. So UA test is built in with Xcode. It's just when you tap on a screen or a button, it automatically name it and create a Swift code for you. And when you run the test, you can see just like the ghost running in your system, that it opens the simulator, open the window, then click on this, go to some other place, and you can even assert and do whatever it typically does with a typical test framework. Right. So when you do the snapshot in it, it gives you hints again. You don't need to really an expert to get started with Fastlane. It says just add, there is a file created called snapshot helper. Then ask you to add these files to your test project. So one thing you need to make sure that when you create a new project, you need to have a UI test to make use of this snapshot project. I mean snapshot tool. Right. Then you can see in the third point you can see that snapshot 0 launch. So whenever you call snapshot, it takes the current screenshot and name it with the given the text the string you pass there. So typically the developers use this trick. They just start with 0, 1 like that. So it will be ordered based on that those. Sorry. Yeah. So this is how it instruct you when you snapshot in it. So you need to have a snap file. So first when we create a Fastlane in it, it creates a fast file. Now for the snapshot, you need to have a snap file. So this is the initialization process for the snap file. So you can see this code also needs to be added there. So it generates some ready-made code, and you can just need to. I don't think we need to really bother about what is inside the code, but it just works. Right. So this is another one we were talking about, match. So we are just getting into that whole process, but before that we need to do the little silence. so when you work with match, it just need to pass what is the type of profiles you need. So how many types of profiles you have in developer portal? No question type. How many types of profiles you have? So basically you have a production profile and a development profile, right? So you can pass app store or development. So it automatically pulls out, create all the, so when you say match app store, it asks you for a repository where you can push the changes. So you have to create a private repository here. Then just paste that URL. It will just do the rest of the stuff. So it's tough to believe, right? But I will go through a demo. So this is how it works. Simply just say match app store. If it is not there, it will just create. If it is there already, it just pull down from the actual server. Right. But make sure that it is a private repo. So one of the problems with public repos is that there are a lot of bots scanning GitHub public repositories. So there are several cases where people share the credentials and end up with like probably AWS and many other services, and they end up with a huge amount of charges because it is being used by some other people. So always make sure that all the sensitive informations are kept under private repositories. Right. So let's take an example demo. We will see an actual demo, but we just see how actually it works. If it really doesn't work, but still, let's see. Hockey app. You need to deliver. Suppose you need to deliver it to Hockey app. Hockey app, Crashlytics beta, TestFlight, or whichever you want. But let me pick an easier one. Hockey app. This is how a typical lane would look like. This is how you configure it. So you have to say what is the description of your lane. Then you say a lane name. So this is the lane name. You can name anything you want, hockey or H or whatever. Then you say I need to sign this using development certificate. So typically when you use Hockey app, it is a development build. You don't really use it for an app store build. Then you say gym, and you also have to specify a scheme, right? So you might be knowing about the different schemes in the iOS app. So you can have the test and the actual app, UI test. All these are different schemes within your app. So you can see or whichever the schemes you actually create. So you can just specify which is the schemes you want to pick up, and finally it is done. You can say hockey, and this is a hockey tool. There is already, this is called actions in Fastlane. So there is a link where you can see all the different actions of Fastlane. I'll show that later. But once, if you want to deliver to hockey app, you can just say what is the API token, then public identifier, what is the app ID, and if you want to have a change log, these are the different options there. So once you execute the hockey lane, let's see what happens. This is how the actual log of. So we just started the build, then we say what some stupid errors, but here it goes. How it goes, then driving the lane iOS hockey app, and it just show what is the so once you execute match, so you have seen match here, right? You have seen match here. The type of the profile is development, so it pulled down the data from that particular repository and store it locally. Yeah, so for the first time it will ask you for the keys, but later it will just get stored automatically. And once they finish the build, it says starting the IPA build to hockey app, and this is the public URL to download the app. Right. This is how it works. So the Fastlane configuration, the fast file configuration is very simple, just one line thing. And once you and it works together to deliver the project. So once you complete it, so this is the actual demo created. That just goes to hockey app. It's the same thing for App Store build also. You can say increment the build number. So when you yeah. So these certificates, when you say you have match here, so it automatically picks up the certificate. Sorry. Yeah, that's what. So I'll just show you the actual content of. So basically, the content, the repository contains your development certificate and the provision file. These are the two items contained in the repository. So these will be automatically passed to the gym, and the signing process actually happens with that. I don't think the sign will happen here. You have to call Sai here. Sai here, right? Yeah, Sai has to be here to sign the. But I'm not sure if Jim internally calls Sai if you use match before. So I just need to verify that. Right. So this is the hockey app demo. Next one is the next one is for App Store. Right. So yeah, right. So here in this case, you need to the App Store builds doesn't allow unsigned builds. So you need to have Sai here. Then this is a typical, this is standard script. This is not a real script I have used, but this is the process that you increment the build number. For each of the TestFlight build, you need to have a different build number. Otherwise, it will just get rejected. So you can say increment build number. Then you can say Cocoa ports that you install your dependencies. Then you scan, run your test, take the snapshots, sign, deliver. That's it. If you want to post it, then you can say post it to Slack. So this, yeah. User agent means what? User agent means right when you create a Fastlane in it. Yeah, it's a developer account. I'll just show the files actually. Right. Yeah. Yes, definitely. So if the developer doesn't have privilege to create certificates, for example, a regular user may not have the privilege to create the certificate, so it will just get paid. But if there is an admin access, they can do all these creation things, like the produce and many other things. Right. Sorry. Mm-hmm. Okay. Right. Right. So it's an open source project. Fundamentally, it's an open source project, and uh, give me a second. Give me a second. Right. Right.
Yeah. So the question basically was, and I think I'm paraphrasing his question. See, there seems to be a common theme here that everything is either connected to GitHub,
Right.
or it's calling to a third-party URL outside your company, right? So what happens, or can you use Fastlane where that's not possible? I have a private Git repository on a server, and I can't use Travis, or I can't use any of these public SaaS-based tools. Can I still use Fastlane?
Yes. Though I have used the term GitHub, it's still as good as a Git repository. So it depends. It doesn't matter whether you host it on GitHub, your own private server, or Bitbucket, anywhere else. The only thing you need to make sure that you need to have an access to that particular server, right? So that is the only things under consideration. So how do you connect to GitHub? There are two possible ways: GitHub, or excuse me for using the term Git and GitHub, but we mostly call it as GitHub because we use GitHub. How do you connect to a Git repository? So there are two options. Either you can access it over an HTTP based authentication mechanism, basically an authentication mechanism, or maybe a basic authentication stuff. The next one would be using the SSH. This is the original way of accessing a Git repository. So if you have an SSH key configured within your system, and the same public token, the public key, if it is present in the GitHub server, irrespective of whichever server it is, like GitHub or your private server, once you have the access, everything will work well. So the only thing you need to make sure that you just need to have the access.
It's acceptable.
Right. Yes.
So I can use just SSH.
Yeah, you can use SSH access. So if you provide HTTP based access, it is actually handled by Git itself. It will just prompt you for password. If you specify SSH URL, automatically it pulls out, try to pull out the SSH key from your .sh in the root directory.
I don't want to.
So give me a second. So why we talk a lot of Git and GitHub? Most of the modern companies who actually use Fastlane are using GitHub and these modern tools. But there are a lot of restrictions in the enterprise space, but still you can install it. For example, GitHub is actually available for enterprise. So right, you can install the same GitHub within your local premise. Yeah.
But that's a separate conversation. And
No problem. Go ahead. Typically, I do this.
have one lane. Basically, you said that you've done your hockey app and you've done
Right.
the development testing. And generally, what you want to do with a continuous delivery thing is that you have an approval over there, and basically you promote it to the next lane. So how do you promote that? Is that again through Jenkins?
Yes, you can configure Jenkins to do that. Right. You can specify a particular. So it depends on. I don't use Jenkins much in our organization, so we mostly use Travis or Circle CI. So you can just specify a branch. Say that when there is a commit in the master, then you can write down the actions needs to be taken for that. Any commit comes to that particular branch.
Very much common when it's enterprise level scenarios, because we have only two variations. We have development and that is app store. But in enterprise scenarios, there might be one where the client takes a look at it because he has to approve it before it finally goes live.
Right. So someone who has privilege to create things should take care of these things. We cannot override any permissions. Yeah. Right. Huh? It's time for break. Yeah.
Okay, so while you're just munching on your snacks, we'll have a quiz time. Okay, so basically, who gives us the correct answer, we'll be giving you some goodies. Okay, fine. Okay, the first question is, which is the first computer virus known? The first ever computer virus. Anyone? For those who know the answer, you may just raise your hands, okay? Huh. Yeah, you obviously.
It is just my guess. I think a program which is alternatively turning on and turning off the caps, the capital, the caps lock. Okay, fine.
That's not the correct answer. Anyone else? Maybe you can just guess. Okay, maybe I'll give you a clue regarding the answer. The name of the virus, it's somewhat similar to a plant. Not a plant, like, yeah, something related to the plant family. Like, we have the pepper plant, how it grows, maybe something, yeah, that's it, yeah. We call such plants a name. So the answer is something related to that. Sorry? Huh? Vanilla, no. Actually, the name is given for a family of plants that actually does that, that actually grows in that form. Yeah, that is it. Maybe I can give you another clue. This particular virus, it was not intended to be a virus. It was created to demo a particular mobile application, and unfortunately, it turned out to be a malicious one, and it can be considered as it was one of the first internet worms found. Yeah, all these are, I know these are technical clues, but still the clues that I can give you. It was actually developed to depict a mobile application, a particular application, but sorry, an application, but it turned out to be malicious. No, application, sorry. So, but it turned out to be a virus. Wait, let me. Indo? Sorry? No, I can't give out such clues. In 1971, long back. Anybody from Team Fire? Come on. Let's see. Anyone from our company knows that. Uh, anyone? Maybe I can give you the last clue. Okay. In this, obviously, it used to display a message. We have first a message, then the second message was "Catch me if you can." I am a dash. Catch me if you can. So the dash is the name of the virus. Okay, fine. The correct answer is the creeper virus. Okay. Yeah. Creeper virus. So actually, we say like creepers. You know, creepers. It actually grows on trees. Like we have the pepper. It actually grows on the trees. Right? Yeah, obviously. Okay, so that was the clue. Fine. Now the next one. Okay. Okay, the next one is which is the first internet search engine? The first internet search engine. Anything else? Well, that's not the correct answer. No. Well, if I'm allowed to give a clue, I'll give a clue, but that is really close. The name is similar to a brand of cards that we give to our friends for, like we have birthday cards, Christmas cards, whatever. The name of the search engine is somewhat similar to that. Archives? No. You are very close, really close. Sorry? Still close, you're closer. She's really close. I'll say maybe 99.99% close. See, this is a group answer. You were not supposed to say that. Yeah, Archie is the right answer, and what's your name? You blurted it out first. No. I saw you go. Like, I'm the one who's. What? Sorry? Arya. Okay. So, Arya will get a fire pen. Okay, so Archie was the first internet search engine. Okay, so now a very easy one. So basically, those who follow technology, you'll be able to answer. So this one, just raise your hands. Okay, first come. No, first. No, just raise your hands. Karnam, it's so simple. Okay, so at the recent Google I/O conference, they actually exhibited a new feature for Android apps that actually lets the user use the app even without installing it. So what is the feature called? Just raise your hands. Yeah, fine. Yeah, correct. Instant apps. So what's your name?
You.
Oh, okay, fine. So that was a rare name. Again, you're from which company? Sorry? Oh, Pitch Solutions. Okay. So that's it with the question. We just had 3 questions. Thank you. So, Mr. Sarath, you can just continue the session.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Okay. So, can we see it in action instead of screenshots? Right? Okay. So, any other questions before we move on? Okay. Right. Um, one thing. So today I had actually planned to demonstrate Fastlane tools and how does it actually work with continuous integration server. Unfortunately, the continuous integration server configuration is not going through. So, but it's fairly simple. Like the configuration depends on each of the service you use, Travis CA or Circle CA or Jenkins. So you can just go through their documentation and try it yourself. But we will be in a good position to try them to use. I mean, make use of Fastlane tools first to make sure that it runs across the continuous integration server. All right. So I have a project which I actually configured with Fastlane. But how many of you want to get started from the beginning? Okay, so I don't know whether we will finish it or not, but we'll just start. Okay, right. So let's take an example. A simple tabbed application. I say Fastlane demo 2. So it automatically brings out that bundle identifier, and I say Swift. Okay. Then I say it's a universal app. I include all the unit tests and UI test, everything there. I just create here itself. So how many of you are using item as your shell? Yeah. Beta 3? Beta 3? Okay. Right. How many of you are using ZSH as your bash? Yeah. How many? Raise your hands. This is Powerline. So there is something called Powerline shell. Yeah. So you can configure item to use the Powerline. So you can use this little this guards and all those things with the path. And also it tell you which branch you are in and any errors that comes in like that. Okay, let's go through this Fastlane init. Are you able to see it, or should I zoom? Zoom. Okay. Fine. Is it good? Fastlane demo. So my credential is already there in the keychain, so it may not ask me for a password. So it's asking me to confirm if the above values are correct. So I just go ahead with it. So it says Fastlane demo 2 app identifier. All these things are there. My team ID. Right. So once I visit the developer portal, I can see all this app IDs, everything created there. So it automates everything, like including login to iTunes Connect. Right. Okay. So it says my version is slightly outdated. So, right. So we initialized a Fastlane. Then you can see how does it look. Let's go through the. So here you go. You can see the Fastlane folder here created, and let's meet each of the files here. This is a original file. The fast file where you define all the lanes you want. Is it too big or too small? Can you see it properly? Yeah. So here you go. You can see the. I mean, this is just taking its reference of the Fastlane version, and um, you can see these simple actions. Like you can do whatever you want. Like for example, installing some third-party softwares or plugins or whatever you want to do before the actual build process start. You can do it here. You can also configure the Slack URL or any other integration services you prefer. Then you can. So this is how a typical test would look like. So the lane name is test, and it goes through each of the test. I mean, it just asks you to run all the tests within the test project. So we don't have any test right now. So this is a beta example where you say create take a build using the Fastlane demo 2 scheme and push it to the pilot. Right? Cool. This is how an app store build would look like. So you need to SAI all those things. You can do it here. And once you do everything, probably you can do a cleanup. So these files are automatically generated, and you can customize the way you want. There are infinite number of possibilities to you how to use Fastlane, but at least in this session, we will just go through the very basic steps to how does that build happens. Now you can see a deliver file here. So here we store the credential. Not credential, but the username. So credentials will be taken from the keychain. You can see a Fastlane demo username here, app identifier. So this is automatically created from the project itself. It just reads out the project and create it. Or if there is no project, you will have to enter it manually there. Now this also, like, it contains the app identifier and other stuff here. Now this is the metadata. When you upload the data to App Store, you might have entered a lot of data, like what is the category of this thing, description of the project, and so many things. So all the sections, the data you can fill up here, right? So this is contains in the metadata, and you can customize it for each locale. So you can use the ISO code for each of the, like, ENUS and all those things. For each of the locale, you can have a different description. Like for example, if you support Japanese, then you can have a Japanese text there. But for Japanese, what is that? Not EN. J. No, but there's a two word. Yeah, I don't know, something like that. Right. So here is the each locale you can specify. In most of the cases, if we are not into localization, we don't specify it here. Okay. This is how a Fastlane. This is how you get initialized. Now, if we are not done yet, but we'll just go through the snapshot init also to see how the snapshot actually works. Snapshot init. So this is an interesting case. Now it is asking you to do a little bit of coding. So far we haven't touched any code, nothing. Right now you need to configure your project here. Fastlane 2. You can come to UI test. Add the files to Fastlane demo 2. It says it is there in the Fastlane folder. Snapshot helper.swift. Right now you added here, and it is asking you to call setup snapshot while launching the app. So we need to copy paste here. Right. not here. Right, you need to set up the snapshot here, and the next step is to wherever you want, you just need to say snapshot. So how do you create a unit test? Oops. So we'll let it run. Okay. So our project is here now. Somehow I'm unable to record the test here. Oh, I need to really run this. Somehow it's not coming up. Anyway, let's move further. Let's go back here. Once you add all the required setup here, you can see a test example. So once you launch the app, you will be in the first view, just like we have seen here, right? First view. So then I say snapshot first. It will just take the snapshot of the first view. So how does Fastlane decide when to take a snapshot? So you have seen that little circle running around, right? Maybe your view is loading something from the web service or something. Uh, once that circle thing is entered, then only it will take the snapshot. So Fastlane automates that one also. It doesn't include the UI in a wait state. Now, so this is all generated through the somehow it is coming up here. Let's try on this one. So this is how you record a test. You can say the red button there, and it will just run the project for you, and it will automatically start recording your test based on whatever you do with your simulator. So you can say press second. So you can see the code is getting generated there, right? So it comes. This is a very simple application, but whatever the navigations you do with your app, click on the text, enter something. All these things will be automated through the app. So this is recorded here. Now you can stop, and you don't really need to go with this. You can just edit the code as you want, right? Now I have a fast file created here, snap file here. So in the when you initialize the snapshot thing, you can see you can check whichever the devices you want. By default, it lists out all the devices. Basically, it's the name of the simulator actually. So you can comment out the unnecessary devices, or you can give all of them. But it will take time for the tool to launch each of the simulator and generate the screenshots. And you can also specify which are the languages you want to specify here. So we talked about Japanese, Spanish, all those things. You can specify it here, the ISO based language code. Right now it is commented out for other languages, and it only runs for English US. Right. When I come back here, I can see a we will see a simple fabric. Let's run a line called snap. Let's see how the snapshot would come here. So I'll just minimize it here. You can see different. So it also output whatever the commands they are executing. It is completely making use of all the Apple's command line utilities to and whatever the OS X features to get the data. So in this pass file, I have configured only for snap file. I have configured only for iPhone 6 and iPad Retina. So it's started for iPad. Can you see automatically it is working there? Is it done? So it shows where these files are stored. So the next simulator started. This is iPad Retina as we configured it. So it automatically clicks to the second tab and went back. It should actually show an HTML file, but never mind. Let's open that here. In the Fastlane, you can see screenshots. So it creates a simple HTML file, contains all the screenshot it has taken. You see that? So it says it is for iPad. This one is for 4.7 inch screen. Or if you specify all the form factors, it will just spit out all the screenshots you want. You don't really need to go through that. Now let's see how we actually frame it. So we also have called how to frame it as well. Sorry, I already given frame also. Apart from snapshot, I also said frame it. So in the case of frame it, this is how it looks, right? So what happened? You created a snapshot. You said just frame it. That all snapshots went to the next phase and just framed it and put it the next one. Do you find this is useful? Right. So now server will execute the simulators. The OS X servers can execute the simulators. Right. Right. Without that, you cannot build build the project. So that's an interesting part. Mac OS server actually runs the simulators. Right. We typically, I haven't actually used it for an actual project delivery. I mean, App Store. I don't know. I'm talking about App Store delivery. We mostly use it for internal builds, the test releases, and so many things, right? Because for we typically have very less number of App Store releases. But if you have it like every 2 weeks, for example, Facebook or Twitter, they update their app every 2 weeks. Then you need a tool to automate the entire process. But we typically have a project release to the App Store towards the end of the project, so we don't really need that for an App Store release. But for an internal builds for small projects, it's quite handy. It also can pull out the data from the release notes. Like for example, you tag a release. You say that you can test login features, registration. Maybe you can say you can update and update the profile. These are the features, and once you tag that, it automatically pulls out that data from your commit log and put it as a nice release notes in the with the Hockey app or Crashlytics beta, any of the services you want. So this is how the frame it works. Now let us see how it's actually work for a Fabric release, Crashlytics beta. I guess you are more familiar with Crashlytics beta than Hockey app. Hockey app is a paid service, but so here it works. I say match, then I say development profile, and I also have specified the Git folder, Git URL where I kept the data. I mean my certificates. So this is the folder I have. Here I have the profiles and certificates. So here is the development profile. So you can use the same repository for as many projects, but this is basically you can see a naming pattern here. That development io.sharath.fastlane -demo mobile version file. So it picks up the right certificate based on the naming pattern. Are you following this? Right. So you can see profiles. Then you can see the App Store profile, which another profile I have created. You can also see the certificates here. I don't know where the certificate went. Okay. You can see the development and distribution profile. So this is what somebody asked here, like how do you pass the P12 file, right? So it automatically pulls out from the match. So if you look at the previous demo, desktop, if I say match App Store, it will ask me for a URL for this. So I can pass the same URL here. I say where is it? Now this UI become very complicated. I say this one. So already has authentication keys there. So it says no existing profiles found, so it will create a new one for you. So to skip this waiting, that's why I shown some screenshots earlier, so that you can just get the gist of it. So you can see where it is stored. It is stored as App Store, io.sharp.fastlane demo 2, and the mobile provision file. So this is how it is stored in the Git repository, and you can navigate here. And so which one we created? We created App Store, right? Search, distribution. Okay, something here. So you can see two provision files for demo 2 and demo. So if you are just moving to another system, or if you are sharing this to with the continuous integration server, you can use this Git URL, I mean the repository, and also you can specify the access keys. So you can get when you work with the continuous integration server, you might need to go for generate this distribution keys, meaning you can create a SSH key here. So just generate an SSH key and give it here, and you can use this key within your continuous integration server, and it can be used to fetch pull out the data. For example, I don't know if you are completely following this, but when you say match and build, match actually trying to, so you have a project repository, but the credentials repository is a different repository, right? So to access that, you need permission. This is a private repository, so you need permission to access this data. So for that, you need to have a deployment key configured in your continuous integration server. Then it automatically pulls out this data and assign it. So each CA server has its own way of configuring the certificates build process, and it actually simplify a lot of this painful process. Earlier, when we used CA server, we actually created a separate keychain, put all the credentials there, and during the build process we unlock the keychain, get the credential, and use those credentials to get the data. And so it was a very hectic process, but nowadays this has been simplified a lot to easily build and sign the projects. Okay, right, so let's see how an actual build process happens. As we discussed, so you need to install CocoaPods, increment the build number, just add increment so it all happens automatically. But one thing you need to notice, when the build numbers are need to automatically enable, you need to go here and say that this versioning system is Apple generic versioning system. Then only there is a called arc2. There's a command line utility which actually helps you to pull out and do all these process. So Fastlane is internally using that tool to do this thing. So you need to enable this data. Actually, Fastlane will warn you that if it is unable to do this, so ask you to go and modify this data. I mean this settings to increment the build. Right. So let's come back here. You say the version number, say that increment the version number, and a patch bump. Patch bump, you might be knowing that 1.0, 1.1. So it's a patch bump. And but the bump type, you can see the documentation there on Fastlane repository. So it also says tell you what are the different type of parameters supported for this action. So we are just incrementing as a patch, meaning it will be 1.1, 1.2 like that. Now it build the project, then it says Crashlytics API token. So we have created an API token with the Crashlytics and given that token here. So for the demo purpose, I have created put all these values plain within the code itself. In when you are working with the production system, never use this. You can access it using the Ruby's typical environment variable access that you can see some dollar thing, right? You can configure within the continuous integration server that what are the different keys you have and access it here. So anytime, so the developers doesn't know which are the keys actually used to deliver this, or anybody get access to the repository doesn't know which are the secret keys to deliver this app to the beta or app store or Hoki app destinations. So always make use of the environment variables of the continuous integration server. Even you can revoke and update the keys if you lose the key, but never ever put these keys in the actual project. Right. So these are Crashlytics specific parameters. So these are the parameters required for this particular service. When you deliver this to Hoki app, the parameters could be different. So when you see here, the Hoki app parameters are API token, public identifier, nodes, and notify. So this is the parameters for Hoki app, but for Crashlytics, it is slightly different. So these are you can see the documentation in the Fastlane repository. Okay, let's try a push to Fabric. Fastlane Fabric. So it will take some time to build. So I'm not demonstrating TestFlight here because the TestFlight builds typically takes a while to upload to the server because I don't know what really goes wrong with Apple servers, but it actually takes a while to get it uploaded. So Srijit is smiling because when we say there is something wrong with Apple servers. So meanwhile, this also Fastlane also supports Android tools, but it is just in the upcoming stage. I have very limited knowledge with the Fastlane tools within the Android stack. So that's why we are not covering that in this session. But it's fairly easy, right? You can without we haven't touched any code so far. We haven't touched any build settings. We haven't done anything other than just creating a project so far, right? Everything, including iTunes Connect Store, developer portal, build, screenshots, everything is automated. So this is how typically it works with a continuous integration server. So it's all running there. You can see the build signing process. You can see here, right? You can see that the build is signed with the match app store or development certificate you have specified. It is also created a symbol file. You can see that here. So the symbol file will also get uploaded to Crashlytics beta. Then only you get the meaningful crash stack from the service. So archive succeeded, and now uploading the build to Crashlytics. Right, it's done. So let's go and see what is there. Here you go. So this is the app I have created. You can see the coffee and the cookies icon here. So simply created using emojis. That's what we get here, right, Deepu? Right. So now we are in the Crashlytics mode. Let us go to the beta mode. So this is a new build. 1.0.02. This has been updated at 6:44 p.m. today, right now. It's cool. So you can add these testers or whatever it is here, and you can also post this to Slack if you have a Slack configured. I actually created a Slack account for this, but let's skip that. You can do it by your own. So how many of you are using Slack except the Experion guys? Yeah. Okay. So how noisy is your Slack? How noisy is your Slack? Is it too noisy? Right. Okay. So the same stuff for Hoki app. I guess I don't need to really demonstrate that. Right. So let's go back and revisit few tips. First thing is that Fastlane is a Ruby tool, Ruby based tools. By default, with the latest version of OS X, you get Ruby version 2.0. It works beautifully with 2.0, but you might end up with some problems here and there. Some maybe you end up with a strange call stack saying that some functions are deprecated, something is not found. So always make sure that you have the latest version of Ruby installed. It's actually a very simple process. There is a tool called RBN. RBN. Um, So you have to make sure that you have all the latest version of the command line tools installed within your systems. You can just download it from downloads.apple.com, or it automatically, I mean, in a frequent, it comes through the App Store and asks you to install. Always make sure that you are with the latest version of the command line tools. So the command line tools comes with all these their default Apple proprietary ones, and as well as the lot of open source tools packaged with it. Like for example, Git, SVN, so many open source tools get updated with the command line tools, right? So the Xcode command, this one doesn't work anymore. I just specified it for the sake of it, but you have to manually download it. This command doesn't work anymore. It asks you to go to the App Store and install it. So how many of you are aware of Homebrew? Brew. So when you work with the OS X, this is one of the most essential tool. If you are not using Homebrew, then you should at least start using from today, because it packs a lot of open source utilities, and you get the latest version with I mean much earlier than as it happens. And the community is very active, so you should just very quickly you can install any tools you want. So you can install RBN. So this is the word RBN. Then yes, say RBN install -L. It will list out all the different RB versions you can available to install, and you can just specify the version here, and you can specify another version. Finally, you can say which is the global version you want to run, and if you want to switch to 2.3.1. It is 2.3. Then if you want to go back to the system one, then you can say the global version as the system. And you can also configure within your bash rc folder file, or zsh rc file. I use zsh, so you can use configure these values here in the resource folder. You have to specify this path, that rbn shims. So this is where the different versions of the Ruby packages are stored. So this has to be there in the path folder. So make sure that when you echo $path, this this one comes here, right? Right. So another point is that always make sure that you use git ignore in your project. Interestingly, Fastlane generate a lot of temporary files, including the screenshots, some metadata, and not metadata, but a lot of temporary files. Just make sure that your git ignore contains the Fastlane. Then, if you don't know what are the files generated by Fastlane, just go to gitignore.io. Specify. So this is how I typically create Fastlane. I mean the git ignore file. You can say Fastlane git osx system or whatever you want. There is a huge set of um, 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 files you can actually choose to ignore based on your tools and platforms. You can also use it in command line. Simply just need to, there's a hack within their website itself. You can say git ignore and specify these values by in comma, and just echo everything within your console, and you can write it to a file. So when you use frame it, I have demonstrated frame it. It will prompt you to download frame files from Apple's website. So how does Fastlane know what is the frame? So it doesn't know, right? So it will show a URL and ask you to download it from the Apple sites, and it basically download the PSD files from the Apple's website, right? There is another utility called Image Magic. It is so when you run it for the first time, it will say that you have to install Image Magic to frame it, because it needs to process the PSD files. So there is a dependency. So the Fastlane will rightly prompts you whatever the tools and the sites you need to actually navigate. Right. So when you work with the test flight, the icons should be there in the. I mean, you need to have the proper icons. Without that, you cannot deliver to test flight. But this is possible with other distribution channels like Beta or Hockey app. But when you upload it to the test flight, you have to basically generate all the proper image assets, icons, etc. So you can use this site. There are a lot of utilities, but this is something very cool. You can put a single file at the largest resolution you have, and it will give you different versions. I mean, with different resolutions. Just like I mentioned before, when you configure the sensitive information, never put the sensitive information in your code. Always make sure that you put this data in your in the environment variables of the continuous integration server. So to continuous integration server, typically when you work in a project, not everyone will have access to change the settings. So the only thing you can do is to push and push to the your repository. Everything else will automatically get going there. Also, use private repositories to especially when you work with match. Always use private repositories. Don't create a public Git repository and use it, because it is going to be very sensitive. This is I already mentioned, like to automatically increment the build number, you have to update the project settings file and specify it follows the Apple versioning pattern. So suppose you delivered to TestFlight. So we talked about increment the build number. So how do you know what actually the build number? All the time you need to commit a build number to your code, right? Then commit that build and push to the server. Then it picks up the build number and increment it and update it. But that's not a good thing, right? So once you deliver a build, you have to go and manually update. This is the last build updated, and push that change to the developer. This again may start another build, but we don't need to get into that loop. Fastlane has an action called the latest test flight build number. So this goes and fetch the last build number and increment it. So you don't need to really worry about which version, which build number typically given. I mean, the given last time. It automatically pulls out from the iTunes Connect store. I don't know if there is a. There should be something. It should have something. I don't know. So sorry. Version number. Depends. Like if you want to specify it as an environment variable, you can do it. When you say build number, you can say that it is you can take it from environment variable. But this is an easier way. Maybe in certain cases, build might fail, right? Or you always have to go and modify the environment variable. That is also not a fair thing. So if you are using TestFlight, this is the easiest way. It automatically pulls out the latest one and show it there. There is another action called changelog from git commits. So in the previous demo, here in the okay. In the notes, we have given some fixed notes here. I mean, some hard-coded text here. So if you want to change that with some commit number, the git commit log. So always you should make sure that whether you are using CI or not, you should have a proper commit logs. Make it very clean. So it automatically picks up the commit log from the last commit and show it there. Now, so how do you add this? It's fairly simple. You just put it just one line there, just before you make a build. So it automatically picks up the release notes. Right. So these are some of the websites. Basically, GitHub repository of Fastlane is the one-stop point for everything. You can observe the different discussions happening there. Most of the issues typically the developers faces will be listed there. Even they are very open about raising the issues within their repository. So some people doesn't really like it. I mean, some of the open source project really doesn't support that, but you can open it. And even this guy, this Felix Cruz guy, who created, he's very cool. He even, you can even ping him over Twitter and he might even respond. So well, it's very supportive community. You can go and ask your questions. One point here, that Fastlane tool is the homepage for the Fastlane tools. Now this is the repository. You can see, this is very important, examples. You can see how different organizations are actually making use of Fastlane. You can see Wikipedia, Twitter, and many other organizations. They publicly shared their Fastlane, the .fastlane folder, and see show how it actually they make at work. Then this is the maybe the probably uh, the one-stop documentation for all the actions. So we have talked about increment, build number, all those things, right? These are actions. These are called actions. So all the action documentation, different parameters, everything can be found here in the actions.md file hosted in their repository. So if you have some doubts, you just go and see that. I will just show you the. I'll just show you their. Not here. Yeah. So this is the Fastlane actions.md file. So earlier we said produce. You can say you can even pass the parameters. So all the documentations are here. You can register the devices, pull the changelog from commits, last git tag. You can pull out. There are so many of commands which you can combine with your workflow, right? Yeah, that's pretty much about Fastlane, and you can also use it with Circle. So we these days we use Circle CI. Somehow it has some issues in building, but you can see a Circle YAML file where you can say the whichever the Xcode version you want and how a deployment works. There are two ways to do this. Either you can stick with your Fastlane, whatever we have done within our system, the same stuff you can continue to make it happen with the your continuous integration server. For that, you may need to give some specific keys, access, so many things. Otherwise, you can make use of their tooling. Instead of using Fastlane build, with Circle CI, Fastlane comes by default, and you can use Gim, IPA, distribute to Hockey app, all these things you can execute as a command line. So this is basically a command. So you, instead of setting it in a fast file, I mentioned previously that it is a command. It's a tool. So you can execute as a command line here. Even you can, instead of Gim, you can say build using execute, and the output file can be distributed over Hockey app, right? So it's fairly simple. So each of the Jenkins has a different set of configuration. So it depends on your continuous integration server how it is actually work. I have here these all are failed, but this is how a typical build process goes. It start the build, start the container, then install Cocoa ports. These all things happens automatically with the continuous integration server. But here I have some issues with the Xcode schemes and all. So that's why it is failed. Right. I have some Cocoa ports dependency issues here. So once it is successful, then it will deliver to the to your destination. So one thing notice that you don't, whatever we have done here in the terminal, it actually happens over there in your circle, your continuous integration server. Right. So that's pretty much from my side. So do you have any questions? So if you don't have questions right now, you can contact me anytime. I will try to help as much as possible. Yeah, but still if you have some questions. So do you find this is useful? Right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharad. So that was really a fruitful session, right? Obviously. Okay. Registration. We had actually collected few questions based on technology questions, actually, irrespective of the topic we were discussing today. So, and the top rated questions, we have told that we'll be discussing it during the session. So, we have got few questions, and among those, the top rated one was about apps. So the question is, it's actually open for discussion. If you have any views on this particular topic, you can actually share it. It's about apps, native apps or hybrid apps, which is a better choice? So I invite Mr. Anand to moderate the discussion, and it's actually open for all. Anybody could, you can actually elaborate your experience on developing native apps or the hybrid apps, whatever. Okay. So Anand.
Hello everyone, I'm Anand. I'm working as an iOS developer here at Faya. So the question here for today is native apps or hybrid apps, which is better? So if any of you have any opinions regarding this, please do share. Anyone?
It's more of a personal preference, right? So if your technology stack is pure web, and I also say if a client doesn't have enough budget, you always go for the hybrid, and you can compromise on performance, and you want to go completely native when you want to have like real time kind of applications like gaming or animations or graphics. And even if it's simple, if your client has budget to throw, you always go for native. Then it all depends on what your team structure is, right? If your team size is small and you have non-native developers, you go for hybrid.
So I have again a clarifying question. So when you say hybrid, what kind of hybrid?
Native apps are basically for if it's for iOS, it's basically Swift or Objective C. Hybrid apps can be made in general languages like HTML, JavaScript, etc., and it will be run on a native wrapper. So it can be any general language.
Again, that you need to go a little further than that, right? So you can basically say, okay, I have a native wrapper and I have a web view and I put a web page in that. That's a hybrid app. Or you can say I have Xamarin Tools, Xamarin Studio. I'm compiling in C# with your business logic in C# and iOS and Android by index. Or you can go down Telerik path and say, okay, native script, and basically creates VMs that you have individual APKs for each of them, right? So it's kind of like a, so when I always go when I hear this whole native versus hybrid debate, right? It's always like this whole debate that we used to have back in the day between, do you want to write only Windows or you want to write Windows and Mac or what have you, right? So it's if you look at mobile, right? Personally, for me, the way I see it is that it's the next generation of computer. So when you looked at computers, you had Linux computers, you had Windows computers, you had Mac computers, and you always had to make a choice. If you wanted to write native applications, you wrote it for Windows. It's a Windows application. You wrote Linux applications, and then you wrote this thing, and then you had something come along that said, "I'm Java. I can write for every application and every platform," and you got crappy UI everywhere, and uh, you lived with it, and so on and so forth, right? So it's the same kind of thing that I'm seeing evolving out here, where what you have is like in the initial space you have like, okay, you're an iOS guy and you write iOS apps and that's it, and you're an Android guy and you write Java apps for Android and that's it, and then over time somebody comes and says, hey, here's this nice little toolkit, and we can write things, and it evolves over time, and for me, basically, uh, I'm kind of sad that we seem to be repeating the same problem, same mistakes again and again. So you've got a desktop PC computers, and you got these three worlds. Now you got mobiles, you got two worlds. Maybe for wearables there'll be one world. I don't know. I mean AI or virtual computing or VR or what have you. But again, so that's why I find that particular question is more nuanced than it seems, because when you say native and you say, okay, native only is iOS or Swift, right? So then how do you basically validate that against somebody who's written a custom VM, right? Who's basically writing C# code, but it is getting linked to iOS. So that's almost native. Native. You're targeting native bindings anyway, right? So that's my take on it.
Adding some more point to Nikhil's, discussion. That good is very subjective, I think. On what context you are asking, which is good. Yeah, got it. But in a business context, we would like to, get more projects in hybrid, but we would like to build the client in a, native app, like a native app. For hybrid, we can, deploy, we can convert any JavaScript, any script development guy into a mobile developer with, less effort, or, the very less learning curve is there. But for native, we can build more to our client, like, why the Facebook was, released their application as a hybrid earlier, then they changed into native, right? So there may be some reasons behind that. So I think how good is a subjective thing. Depends on the, yeah. That's my take.
Yeah, just to add some more, right? So I think the first we had this native, that is iOS, C, then Java, Android Java. I think then came this concept of hybrid, right? Now we have intermediary native script. So these technologies are evolving because there's a mass market of developers, right, who are not Java focused, who are not C focused. Now Swift is there. So we have to look at different trade-offs. And that trade-off sometimes happens on the security or the performance side, but gives you a wider developer audience. Right. So when you say hybrid versus native, it also comes down to business, the profile of developers that we have in the community of developers. It's not just hardcore performance or business you're talking about. Yeah. So if you think a normal, let's say, right, a normal customer like a student app or restaurant app, whatever, right? You just think from that perspective. You don't want to spend $10,000s of dollars when you can get it done for a web app and convert it to Cordova and just launch it, right? For maybe like $50. This is the market rate that's going on. So now you have a choice where you say, okay, I can pump less money, but I can take a hit on the security or the performance part of it.
Yeah, this is a very typical question which happens in a pre-sales discussion. That every customer comes with a delusion that hybrid apps can save the cost. That's true in one perspective. That's not true in different. If you look at look at it in a different way. Um, um, when you say hybrid app development, there are a couple of frameworks which are popular. One is Cordova. The other one would be Xamarin. These are the two popular platforms available. And again, there is PhoneGap. PhoneGap is again based on Cordova. This is what we have observed is that when you work with hybrid development, it works mostly with iOS devices because you have less number of devices, less form factors, and you can simply optimize it for the iOS devices easily. But when it comes to Android devices, again, it's going to be a lot of painful scenes that a lot of performance issues. Maybe you write some little animations and it won't work. Maybe the layouts are broken. So many issues we face with hybrid development. So what we mostly observed is with uh, hybrid development, the maintenance cost or the testing cost is high. But when it compares to a native development effort, so it's not like you save the whole development cost and just deliver it, but mostly you'll have to spend time to optimize and make it work for most of your audience. So that's one of the key thing there. The another point, one of the issues we faced a couple of years before when iOS 7 was released, most of these PhoneGap and Cordova plugins broken. And we were planned the delivery around October time, and this iOS 7 release was just happened in September. And the project developed till that point got we had to delay the release. And when we participate in forums and ask so many questions, even many of these maintainers doesn't know when these plugins will be fixed or hybrid and native development, especially in terms of iOS development, it is going in an orthogonal direction. Like they don't make sure that all their new APIs are compatible with the hybrid platforms. But there are some improvements happened recently. If you look at Ionic project, it creates very beautiful, very solid ready-made components are available. They also maintain some core plugins, which is the same case with PhoneGap. But Ionic is more aggressive these days on maintaining these things. Then Xamarin is also pushing a lot in terms of pushing C# as the default development language, and it also Xamarin is probably an advanced hybrid platform where you can even customize your UI with your native tools. Like for iOS, you can design everything using storyboard and integrate with Xamarin. Similar thing for Android as well. You can create your Android design files and integrate with your Xamarin. But it is licensed. It comes with, basically you need to buy Visual Studio license and use it. But again, in terms of technology challenges, it's a good thing that you can learn one language and maintain across different platforms. But if you look at the performance aspects, it may not be really worth considering hybrid in a long-term perspective. Including if you look at some of the popular apps like Facebook, they have moved away from hybrid app, and now everything is on native, and they even open source to so many open components into the native as native libraries. So it's mostly on this project's perspective, the audience and the kind of user experience they expect, the performance things, etc. So if it's a very simple apps without having much deeper integration with the hardware, maybe it's worth trying for a hybrid development. Also, this helps a lot of people who are coming with with a small fund, and they are trying to pitch their idea to some investors and get it. But often in the long term, most of them I have seen coming for a native iOS development. Native development.
Yeah, I think it is debatable, right? So I think it has many trade-offs. Both has its pros and cons, and yeah, budget, performance, etc. So I think there is no clear winner here, right?
For example, some apps demands the to maintain the app state. Like for example, you quit the Facebook app and come back, and you expect, probably it takes you to where it was left off before. But that is one of the challenges in the hybrid app, that you navigate through different parts of your UI, and when you come back, it totally refreshes. So basically, the user loses the entire context. Those kind of challenges are there. But there are. It is also improving a lot, especially this web technologies are improving a lot, and that instant apps with Google is one of the examples that it is going much more faster than we expect. But these were some of the challenges we already faced, and there are solutions for it. But it again, it depends on what your app demands.
Yeah, so I think you all got the answer. It is not there is no clear winner here. I think so. Thank you everyone for your opinion. Thanks.
Thank you, Anand. As a token of my appreciation, I invite Mr. Deepu, the Managing Director of FIRE, to present Mr. Sarath with a memento.
So thank you, Sarath, for taking time from your busy schedule to prepare for this session. And yesterday it was his anniversary, right? Yeah. And first anniversary, first wedding anniversary, and yeah. So thanks a lot for that.
Thank you. On behalf of the team FIRE, I really thank Mr. Sarath for obviously for coming, for taking your time out and delivering such a wonderful session. And I thank everybody from the audience for showing your interest on the topic and for your active participation. Thank you. Thank you so much.